Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the New York Mets. In 2023, shortstop Francisco Lindor did Francisco Lindor things, racking up his first 30-30 season of his career while driving in 97 runs and finishing in the top 10 in NL MVP voting. This year, first base slugger Pete Alonso, or as Mets fans like to call him, the Polar Bear, is entering the final year of his arbitration with the Mets as Alonso and the team came to a one-year $20.5 million agreement in the offseason. The Mets will look for him to replicate last year's 46 home runs and 118 RBI campaign. They will look for young third baseman Brett Baty to take the next step at the major league level. Last year, in his first full season, he clubbed 9 home runs while driving in 38 as he suited up for 108 games. In the rotation, they were dealt a big blow before spring training when ace Kodai Senga went down with a shoulder strain and will start the season on the injured list. Last year, in his inaugural MLB season, Senga took the ball 29 times, posting a 12-7 record with a 2.98 ERA. They will look for newly signed Sean Manaea and Luis Severino to pick up the weight while they wait for Senga to return to the rotation. The Trumpets will return to Citi Field in the ninth inning this season as elite closer Edwin Diaz makes his highly anticipated return to the Mets after missing the entire season after he tore his patellar tendon celebrating a Puerto Rico win at the World Baseball Classic. Now let's take a deeper look at the 2024 New York Mets roster. All right, Dylan. So the Mets obviously underperformed at a really high payroll the last couple of years. It was over $400 million. And obviously, you've had the departures of Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, who they're still paying to be on their payroll. We'll get to that in a second. But um, on paper, this is still a pretty good team. Like at the top, you got Nemo, McNeil, Lindor. You got Pete Alonso, who's entering the final year of his arbitration. So he's going to be motivated to have a good year to get paid. Obviously, he's coming off a 41 home run season. What kind of sticks out to you when you look at this Mets roster?
Um, the youth. It's
Yep.
got to be Brett Baty and Francisco Alvarez. What are you gonna get out of them? I mean, Alvarez had 25 homers.
Yeah.
And then is Brett Baty gonna actually, they have projected for 16. I think you were reading it earlier that Alonso had 41. He actually
Yeah,
had
46.
46
Sorry.
last
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
but he only batted 217.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to see that go up.
Definitely.
Francisco Lindor did Francisco Lindor things.
Mm-hmm.
Actually had 31 stolen bases with 31 homers,
Mm-hmm.
30-30 year. You love
Mm-hmm.
to see that.
Yep.
Um, I just, I don't know. I mean, they got Starling Marte stealing 31 bags this year. He only stole 24. He was pretty underwhelming last year.
Yep.
They signed him. Um, it's just it's tough. You need Starling Marte to be at the top of this order, not in the
You do.
five hole.
Yeah.
Like you need him to be
One or
back
two.
to what he was doing. Let's see what 2022. When he's batting 292 and
Yeah.
you know, it's just there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack with this team.
There
It's
is.
it's
Well, obviously the injury of Ronnie, like that's obviously a big loss. He tore his ACL in winter ball.
yeah,
They had some high hopes for him for him for sure. I like the addition of a veteran guy and Joey Wendell, kind of utility guy that can kind of
yeah,
play in a pinch anywhere on the infield. He's kind of been a gamer, even dating back to his days with the Rays and the Marlins. Um, yeah, I mean Tyrone Taylor, like what he's projected at 13 homers this year. So, um,
yeah.
I don't know.
Obviously, you go down this pitching, you're missing Kodai Sengo right now.
Yeah.
He's gonna miss the start of the year. They're
Hmm.
saying it's a shoulder strain.
Yeah.
There's also other reports coming out that this is why a lot of teams were weary of signing him last year.
Hmm.
With that ghost fork, right? Like, how
Yeah.
is that arm gonna hold up? They're not saying that it's like season ending or anything like that. It's just gonna be a slow start to the season. But for a slow start for a team that needs to bounce back this season and has the payroll that they do,
Yeah.
and we'll get there in a second,
Yeah.
right? Like, you really they are one of the reasons why they traded Verlander and Scherzer was because they believed so much in Kodai Senga. I mean, he had a great year last year. I don't know if it'll show it down here. It doesn't, but
Yeah.
um,
He was terrific.
as far
Unbelievable.
as the rest of this rotation goes, Jose Quintana was good last year, but only pitched 75 innings.
Yeah.
Luis Severino was terrible for the Yankees, but
Yep.
has been a dude in the past. So we'll see what
Hmm.
they get out of him. Maybe, you know, new scenery and as far as
Not
Manaea
much.
goes, he
Yeah,
was he
he
was in a
kind of
swingman
bounced around,
position.
right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was a swingman for the Giants. So
Yeah.
he only had 10 starts. So like Now you're expecting him to go back into a rotation
And
and
be a
have
three
20
guy
plus
right now.
starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adrian Hauser deserves a little bit more love than what he's getting.
Hmm.
22 wasn't great, but in 23 it was a 4.12. That he's 21 starts.
Yeah.
It plays. Like it'll play, but the 111 innings needs to get better. Obviously, it's not going deep into games.
Yeah.
Um Tyler Meagle, I mean, it's another guy. Just hasn't had the innings. 25 starts and only 126 innings.
Yeah.
He's not going to go very deep. I don't love it. I don't love it in 2024. The rotation, they're projecting Mania to go from 10 starts to 26 starts.
A lot to ask.
It's I
Like
I
their
don't know, man.
payroll is
I'm
up
just
there, man. But if you want to be competitive, you need to
yeah.
add an arm there. Like you
They
need to add
can't.
some.
They cannot add an arm right now. Okay, look, they're at 315, and that's not even the luxury tax yet. Look at this long list.
I
You got
know.
Lindor locked up until 2030. You got Nimmo locked up until 2030. Marte is 20 million the next 2 years. That's a guy they should have tried to trade this offseason, do
Yeah.
their eat the money or whatever the heck they're doing.
Yeah.
Listen, Steve Cohen, I respect the hell out of you. You bought the team, you wanted to win, you spent.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just blown back in your face, and I hate that for baseball because everybody was like, "Oh, the Mets are ruining baseball and all this stuff." It sucks to see. I'm sorry, Steve Cohen. Like because I wish that I mean, obviously, I'm an Angels fan, and my owner is terrible, right? So I wish I had Steve Cohen just willing to spend money
Yeah.
around Mike Trout, right?
Right.
Like I can't. I'm not trying to say that Mets fans to piss you off, right? I'm just saying that
Well,
obviously it
I
hasn't
mean,
worked out the way it's supposed to, and
whenever you spend
Edwin
400
Diaz,
million bucks, like you got over $400 million payroll. Like it's you have to appreciate that as a fan for sure.
listen, they can reset it. I think they even talked about how they can reset in 2025. Look at
Yeah.
all this coming off.
Yeah.
13, 26, 36, and then another 7, 6.5,
Yeah.
4.5,
That well, and
3.3,
that's kind
2,
of what
2.
Cohen was saying. Like he said, like this year we might take a step back and rethink for 2025, and then that's when everyone was like, oh well, what are they gonna do with Pete Alonso? Is he want to be up for that or something like that? So,
Yeah.
like, do
Well,
you
yeah, they have to pay him too. I
right?
mean,
So that's
it's
be my
20.5
question.
in ARB, and they have to extend him.
Right.
He's 29. I mean, they don't have to, but if they want to retain him, obviously they
Like,
have to.
what do you think the plan is for Pete? Like, if you had to guess, like, do you think they sign him to that long-term extension, or do you think they potentially trade him and get a haul for him at the deadline or something?
I think he's going to be traded.
Yeah,
I do.
I do
And,
too.
and I just think it's one of those things where there's so much out there next year. I mean, that
Soto.
yeah, you got Soto. I mean, Cohen stealing Soto from the Yankees after the Yankees fans fall in love with him this year. That sounds like a Cohen move,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
Corbin Burns is out there. Shane Bieber, who's not as, dominant anymore, but still would be obviously a great addition to this staff.
Yeah.
Max Fried stealing him away from the Braves.
Yeah.
There's some stuff out there in 2025. And for this club right here, unfortunately, it's gonna have to ride off some vibes. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some talent there, but
Obviously, getting back Edwin Diaz is going to be huge for them this year.
yeah,
Obviously coming off that freak injury. Last year he's one of the best closers in the league. Getting him back, is going to be big for them for sure.
yeah, let's just go down and, sorry, Mets fans, let's
Yeah,
do it.
you're paying
You're paying Scherzer
56.
30 million and Verlander 26 plus another
And
17
James
next year
McCann, another
to not
8.
play for you.
Yeah, that's tough.
The
That's
luxury tax number is at 327. They've already blown past the 297. Anybody that they sign to this point, so like say they were to get a Blake Snell, how the CBT works, if you guys don't know. If you got Blake Snell at 30 million, basically if you go over that max tax, which is what they did, it would be 60 million.
yeah,
So say 1 year 30 million, they got to pay additional 30 million in taxes.
yeah.
So as far as adding a rotation piece, I don't see it happen unless Cohen just doesn't care. But I mean, that doesn't really sound like that's his plan.
Yeah.
They just got a new GM
Yeah.
from the Brewers, right?
Yeah.
So
Billy Epler. Yeah. They
no,
replaced
no,
Epler.
Billy Epler's gone.
No, they replaced Billy Epler. I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So, um, with the guy from the Brewers, and blanking on his name right now, but Stearns, David
Yep. Stern.
Stearns.
Yeah. Districts.
Um, so yeah, I mean, you gotta see it, let him see it through, and let him do his thing. Hey, it's gonna be some rebuild here, some retool.
Yeah.
I like all the money that they're getting off.
Mm-hmm.
Can they do something with, can you do
Marte. If
something?
they can get Marte off the
Yeah,
books.
or even McNeil. I know, I know, but
Oh, yeah. He's
the
on a
problem
team
is
friendly
the
deal
problem
though.
is even if they do this retool, next year they have to be under the luxury tax too for it to reset.
Right. Yeah.
So they're screwed with penalties unless they reset it, which
Yeah.
means they're gonna have to. I don't know what the number is for next year, but let's assume I think it goes up about $3 million. This year it's at 237, so let's say next year it's at 240. Okay. They have to stay under 240 million to not have penalties again.
Right. Yeah. And
So
you can go over it for 3 years, right? And then once you reset, it resets. Like you can go over it for
yeah,
three
I mean
years.
you're just getting hit with penalties no
Yeah.
matter what. Yeah,
Yeah.
for 3 years.
Yeah.
But like the way it skyrockets, it's really hard to understand. But essentially you're getting taxed um like tax penalties for going over the luxury tax each year,
Yeah.
right? But then you have to spend a year underneath the tax to get those penalties off.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so
They had a lot of penalties last year, like a lot. It was a
well, yeah, and they're
record.
gonna get them again this year,
Yeah. So
and they're probably not gonna be that good.
what's their projected standings?
They're projected 80 and 82. They went 75 and 87 last year. Again, Senga's going to be out to start the year.
Yeah.
They had the Marlins going 80 and 82.
I
They were
think the
at
Marlins are
84 and
better than the
78.
Mets, to be honest.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say is they're
Right.
84 and 78
Yeah.
last year and they made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to the Phillies, but
Yeah.
um, that's a team that just added some pieces. Um, and then you got the Phillies at 85 and 77. I don't see how they see the Phillies are 5 games worse than what they were last year. I think they've improved.
Yep.
Um, they haven't done much, but they added like a vet piece like Whit Merrifield to that roster. And then you got the juggernaut Braves, who won 104 games last year. They're expected 97 on here.
Yep.
That's a 17 game swing between first and third place. So,
Yep.
um, Mets fans, sorry, this kind of seems like a dark cloud type of outlook for you guys, but we're just keeping it real, right?
Yep.
And what do you got? I mean, what do you think?
I probably have them finishing fourth in this division. Like I would have probably the Marlins ahead of them, but um, if that rotation can hold afloat until Senga comes back, that's a lot to ask. That's a lot of innings you'd have to eat. Like we're leaning on guys like Miguel and Shamanai, like we talked about. And what are you getting from Jose, or what are you getting from Severino, Luis Severino? Like the guy was a train wreck last year for the Yankees. So he's got stuff though. Like he's like you said, he has done it in the past. He's had moments where he's lights out, but the injuries have kind of derailed his career the last few years. So I'm rooting for the guy. I hope he does get it back because he's fun to watch when he's on, but there's a lot has to go right for the Mets to have a successful season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, guys, like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.